As work continues on the FY11 operating budget, the shortfall continues to increase. The numbers are sobering. The shortfall for this year's operating budget is expected to exceed $900 million.
Well, there's no question that the fiscal situation is a fluid one. Just a few weeks ago, we found out about a $24.5 million write-down, but what's really clear from today is we're facing an additional $44 million shortage for FY10 alone, and that the number for FY11 is probably an additional $100 million larger. That is staggering when you think about that. And we're at a point now where to get these gaps closed, we're really going to have to take another hard look at programming dollars. There aren't really places to strip money from. There has been some discussion of looking again at encumbrances here in local government and trying to find other ways to free up cash, but the bottom line here is that none of this will be easy.
As part of this year's budget, County Executive Ike Leggett is once again proposing the county impose a fee for emergency medical transport services. It's expected the ambulance fee could raise as much as $14 million in revenue for the county. Councilmember Phil Andrews has stood against the fee each year it has been introduced, as he will once again this year. For the past few years, the ambulance fee has been voted down by the council by a narrow margin. Councilmember Phil Andrews chairs the Public Safety Committee. He stands by his belief that an ambulance fee is bad public policy.
The issue is it good policy? And I believe it isn't good policy. I think it's bad policy to charge for emergency response services as a principle, but also because there is clear evidence that some people will be affected if there's a fee to call 911 and get an ambulance. People who are uninsured and not exempt from the fee would be subject to a $800 fee. And that's enough for someone who doesn't have insurance, and many people don't, to think, well, maybe I can get to the hospital on my own or drive myself. So we have a system right now that's funded through a fire tax. We're one of the very few counties in the area that has a dedicated fire tax, and we should continue to fund our fire and rescue service that way rather than resorting to going after people who are having a bad day, very bad day, sometimes the worst day in their life, for recovering that.
However, others on the council say during these tough fiscal times, measures that generate revenue need to be seriously considered.
We have a huge gap to close, but more importantly, we've got to really replenish the reserve fund. And we're not going to be able to do that by making only further operational budget reductions. We just can't really do it that way. And the ambulance fee, if we were to not support it as a body, that would require finding an additional $14 million or so. And I think in this budget climate, that would be next to impossible. So again, there will be, I'm sure, a robust conversation, and I'm taking a very hard look at it at this point because I recognize that to find that $14 million, there's no way that I will make those kinds of cuts clearly in the area of HHS programming, which of course is so important to me given my background and my own personal experiences. And I think it would be very hard to justify making cuts in programming like that in order to actually not impose what is technically money on the table.
Last week, the council gave preliminary approval to the newly named Great Seneca Science Corridor Master Plan. Formerly named the Gaithersburg West Master Plan, this proposal will transform the Life Sciences Center into a vibrant science and medical community.
Well, I did have a number of concerns about the draft plan that came over from the planning board because it allowed up to 20 million square feet of commercial development and also had other provisions that didn't, in my view, adequately protect the community from potential severe traffic impacts. So the council did change the plan to scale it back, scale the commercial development back from 20 million square feet to 17.5 million square feet.
The council also addressed critical lane volume, which deals with road congestion. Neighbors and stakeholders will be a part of a transportation oversight committee as the development and plans for mass transit move ahead.
One of the things that is just so important to appreciate with respect to the work we've been doing recently is that these are visions. These are long-term visions. This isn't going to happen tomorrow, but it's going to set the framework for the next 20 to 30 years, and it's going to establish a community expectation of our commitment to growing the job base, creating great jobs for our future, and also controlling the impact that that will have on communities. It will also create a huge incentive for the production of the Quarter Cities Transitway, which has been on our master plans for a good long time. But with this kind of exciting future planned around it, we can be certain that that project, the Quarter Cities Transitway, is going to get real legs.
Council members say the compromises reached both protect the communities from excessive congestion and ensure the expansion of the Life Sciences Center, which is so key to the future economic development of the county. Well, that does it for this edition of the Council in Brief. For more information on the Council's budget and the work sessions that are now taking place, visit the county's website at www.montgomerycountymd.gov. For County Cable Montgomery, I'm Susan Kennedy. Thanks for joining us.